A single American religion would not have a positive outcome in this nation.
And besides, we already have a national religion.
The American Religious Town Hall meeting is now in session.
Welcome, friends, to the American Religious Town Hall meeting, where the discussion of religious, political, and social issues is meant to promote the cause of religious freedom and to help us better understand each other. And now, here is your host and moderator.
Welcome, viewers. Thank you very much for joining us today. My name is Andrea Luxton. I am the president of Andrews University, and I am today's moderator. We have a group of panelists here, and I would like them to introduce themselves.
I'm Tom Plumbley. I'm the senior minister at First Christian Church in Fort Worth, Texas, a congregation that's a part of the Christian Church Disciples of Christ.
Hi, I'm Rabbi Dan Levin. I serve as senior rabbi at Temple Bethel in Boca Raton, Florida.
Hi, I'm Carl Troval. I'm professor of ethics and history at Concordia University in Austin, Texas.
Hello, I'm Tony Matthews. I'm the senior pastor at North Garland Baptist Fellowship in Garland, Texas.
We have an intriguing conversation that we are going to discuss today, and I would like to introduce it to you. Michael Flynn, the National Security Advisor under former President Donald Trump, appeared in a San Antonio, Texas megachurch with others who are interested in a Christian form of nationalism. At that time, Flynn declared, quote, "If we are going to have one nation under God, which we must, we have to have one religion," end of quote. He went on to suggest that today the United States has lost sight of the principles and values that guided the founders of this republic as a Judeo-Christian country. We might wonder how such a suggestion would fare in light of the First Amendment that, quote, "Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof," end of quote. So while it is unlikely that his call for a single religion will gain traction in the US Congress, it may still empower many on the religious right to find a way to answer Flynn's call. We would like to ask our panelists to address one or more of the following questions. Firstly, to what extent is Flynn's call rooted in American history? Secondly, do you believe that a single national religion would provide the answer to many of the problems that the people of the United States face today? And lastly, and maybe most difficult of all, if the US were to have a single religion, what do you think it would look like? We are going to go back to those who introduced the topics to start the conversation.
Thank you. I guess I need to lay all my cards on the table, and card number one is that I probably would not follow Michael Flynn's directions for where to go to the bathroom. I don't find him a person worth following in any way, shape, or form. I think he served our country well in some capacities, and he has, in the past few years, proven that there are some things that he should not be, for which he should not be followed or listened to. And I'm concerned about those who continue to give him a microphone. My concern is with the end of your statement, Madam Moderator, where you speak of those who might be empowered by his words to try to create a single religion, one religion for this nation. I would simply say to them that missing the whole point of the First Amendment, missing the whole point of the American experiment, missing the whole point of the religious diversity that has been not only allowed but promoted in this nation throughout its history. And that is that the diversity itself works to keep religion healthy and strong. In those nations where they've reduced themselves to one religion, that one religion becomes warped. Either it becomes tyrannical or it becomes very, very weak and almost non-existent. On the other hand, we have this American experiment which brings out, because of the very need to compete at some level, it brings out the necessity of all of us learning to share our understandings of God clearly and with a focus and in the way that will help people best understand what our faith is. For instance, my understanding is that Jesus of Nazareth is the way, the truth, and the life. I believe that. But when I look at His life, I see that His way was never one of force, of governmental dictate, or of exclusion of people. And His truth was that the reign of God is out there among all sorts of people, particularly people that are very different and on the margins. And His life clearly welcomed all sorts of folks. So the very need to make that case within the larger diverse society of religions drives me to, as I said, a greater clarity of my own faith and ability to keep the faith that I believe strong and healthy.
Thank you.
Jesus said, "Do unto others as you'd have them do unto you." I would not want anyone forcing their religion on me, and I don't know why I, as a Christian, would ever want to force my religion on anyone else. In one religion, we Lutherans can't even get along with one another, right? I mean, I don't know, to me, and to what extent is Flynn's call rooted in American history? Well, not at all, because all the colonies were a single religion, and when they had to bind together as a nation, first under the laws of confederation. Articles, that's the word I was looking for, thank you. They were all different religions with one another, so tolerance was more about tolerance of religion in the different colonies. So, I mean, historically, it's like completely, where is this coming from? And do I think that a single national religion would provide an answer? No. At third, if the U.S. were to have a single religion, what do you think it would be? And my point of contention here is that I think we already have a single religion, namely, it's called civil religion. Robert Bellah, sociologist, wrote about it in 1967. And it is the religion. Why do you think every president says, "God bless you and God bless America"? I mean, it is just like a closing blessing to everything, and it's meant to be generic enough that everyone accepts it, maybe except for the atheists, right? They're not crazy about that. In the Pledge of Allegiance, we say, "Under God," right? I know that was added to the allegiance a little later. We have those kinds of rituals. It's almost like a creedal statement that we profess, right? So there's the R of religion. When there's a disaster, the president always shows up Why? Because the president is kind of pastor-in-chief. I still think that's one of the main reasons why we've never had a female president, because we still look to the president as a kind of clergy figure who oversees kind of the priesthood of the nation, taking care of it. And but I mean, other aspects of the civil religion, by the way, a definition is, it's basically a set of rituals and ideas and metaphors influenced by religion, which then are overlaid on a culture. And then we use that kind of religious ritual, even though we empty it of any specific content, we nevertheless use it. For instance, we always have prayers, but we don't have prayers, we have moments of silence. That's a religious act to have a moment of silence in respect or in honor of people. We have bells tolling when people die. We have the flags, right? The flags are like these, almost like, boy, I tell you, take the sanctuary, take the flag down. You can take a cross down and people won't say anything in a Christian church, but boy, you take that flag down, ho-ho, watch out. My point is that we've got civil religion, we got religion all over us with all this religiosity going on. The Scripture, Constitution, the Bill of Rights, right? That, I mean, it's like the 10 Commandments. You have the 10 Bill of Rights. It's really, we have all this infused, we ooze religion in our culture already. And my point is we already got one. It's not any world religion, but it is the religion of Americanism. And we always put these hymns together. I mean, even our program puts the flag and the hymns together. It's part of that civil religion. And that's my point. We got it already. We don't need to create it.
All right, what does the rest of the panel think about this?
Maybe he'll tell us what he really thinks.
I know, get a little animated on that one. Huh?
That's great. I love it. I love it. The title of the of our topic, conflicts with religious liberty. And so I think, this it flies in the face of religious liberty. And of course, Congress, as is written, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. John Leland was a Baptist, and he was a big proponent of religious liberty. And he says that all should be equally free, the Jews, the Turks, the pagans, and the Christians. Now, if being honest, if we were to have one religion, I would want everybody to be Christians. I'm just going to be honest.
Would you want them to be Southern Baptists, don't you?
Yeah. I don't know about. Well, I'll say Christians.
Not your kind of Christian.
Yeah.
It needs to be Carl's kind of Christian.
Yeah. Carl's kind of Christian. Yeah. But just Christian. And that's just being honest, because what I believe with the Scripture. Okay, and so, but to force people. I mean, I hear horror stories coming out of countries where there's, quote unquote, one religion, where it's forced, coerced. If you deviate from some of the religious ideologies, man, you can get, severely, maimed, just all kinds of things. Just. So I think the power of the cross too, in a context where people get to choose, is a wonderful thing, where you can share your faith. People have the right to choose. And I just think that the whole religious liberty thing is so important to me. And I think people should be free to choose what religion that they would like to be a part of.
Thank you.
So as someone who is part of a religious minority in America and in the world, there's 330 million Americans, and Jews are not even 6 million of them. We're a rounding error, right? There are 7.5 billion people on the planet. There's 15 million Jews, right? We're a blip, right? But one of the things that has been so brilliant about Jews' experience in America, and believe me when I tell you, it has not always been glorious, right? Even where I come from, Boca Raton, where we think of as being this great Jewish community, it was not long ago that there were signs in public parks that said no Jews, blacks, or dogs allowed, right? So at the same time, we have been the beneficiaries, of amazing freedoms that have allowed for the flowering of Jewish culture in ways that we would never have imagined. If you take a look at how Judaism has flourished in America, in the whole spectrum of Jewish belief, from Orthodox to Reformed, Conservative, Reconstructionist, all kinds of flowering of Jewish life and religious life is because of the freedoms excuse me, that have been afforded us. And I think that if we are always looking back at what did the founding fathers think as being the bastion of what we should be, we could get in a whole lot of trouble, because while they may have had certain ideas about religion, they also had ideas that a black person was not quite a full human being. Right. They also said that women should not participate fully in society, and we could go on and on and on. At the same time, I think that we have, exactly as Carl described, realize that there are certain fundamental values that we share as Americans that we believe to be sacrosanct. They are enshrined in the Declaration of Independence. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with inalienable rights to life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness. And we enshrine those rights in our Constitution. The idea of equal protection under the law, the idea of equal opportunity, the idea that I should have some measure of privacy in my life that is held sacred, the idea that I owe something to the larger society in which I live, so that if there's a hurricane that hits New Orleans or an earthquake that hits California, I in South Florida owe a debt of responsibility to those people to help to take care of them. I think it's okay for us to acknowledge that we as Americans have some shared values, and that our religious systems are systems that promote those values, but there is certainly more than one right way to express and promote those values, and that is the glory of the American religious life. Because you can find those values in your church, in your church, in your church, in your university, in my synagogue, in mosques, and all kinds of houses of worship. And it is that incredible mosaic religious life that creates the piece of art that is America.
Speaking for myself, coming from the UK, it's ironic to me that the people who came here from the UK were running away from one religion mentalities and the lack of tolerance that always tends to bring with it if someone doesn't conform. So.
Oh, and by the way, when they first came, they created a lot of intolerance.
Exactly.
They did not want to deal with those who were different from them.
Yeah.
And we may not have time during this segment to talk about it, but just for entertainment, for the lack of a better word, are there any disadvantages of having multiple religions in society? Have we thought about that? But just throw that out there.
Well, I think the thing is that when you have a society that doesn't embrace the idea of anything of sacred value, that's dangerous. That when you don't have a society, or where there's elements in society that says those sacred values are not sacred or valuable, that actually is a dangerous thing. And that's why I think you see people like the folks that Michael Flynn was talking to, who are eager for a resurgence of some sense of moral claims on Americans, because they see Americans in many ways going off the rails. Depending on where you sit, they could be the ones who are going off the rails, or the other way around. But I think that that's an important idea, that, yeah, there are certain things that we as a society can hold sacred even if we express it differently.
I think that accepting other religions is simply an affirmation about God, an affirmation that God is bigger than I can imagine, bigger than I can reduce to words, bigger than I can reduce to any creed or doctrine or set of doctrines or book. God is out there beyond, and I think Jesus said that to folks in his hometown, his very first sermon that's recorded in Luke's gospel, that God chose a Lebanese woman to heal, to give food to, when there were a lot of Israelite widows that were starving to death, and God chose a Naaman the Syrian to heal of leprosy when there were a lot of Israelite lepers that needed healing. Jesus was saying, God's not. You can't hold God in and put God in a box. They wanted to throw him off the cliff for it.
Thank you. Let's have a break.
We hope you're enjoying today's program. If you'd like to learn more about the American Religious Town Hall, please visit our website at americanreligious.org. That's americanreligious.org. There you can read about the vision and history of the program, and we invite you to become a ministry partner, explore our Town Hall Estates healthcare facilities, and view past programs by clicking the appropriate menu buttons. Each week, we look forward to receiving your letters. You may write us at the address shown on your screen. Send your letters to American Religious Town Hall Meeting, P.O. Box 180118, Dallas, Texas 75218. If you have a prayer request, please send it to prayerrequest@americanreligious.org. Thank you for writing and thank you for watching. Now, back to today's closing statements.
Welcome back, and I do hope you listened to what you've just heard. Please do make contact with us. We do love to hear from you. We want to have your letters. We like to have your comments, your suggestions for shows. If you'd like us to pray for you, please send in those requests. And now to our closing comments.
Thank you. It's simply a fact that religious diversity has kept religion strong and vital in the United States. And the First Amendment prohibition of establishment of religion is a vital part of who we are. Accepting religious diversity is a firm affirmation about God, that God has spoken in many ways, through many voices, and that God is heard in different ways for 1,000 different reasons.
Yeah, I want to turn to the philosopher John Locke, British philosopher who wrote some letters called Letters on Toleration, which kind of undergird the American experiment in this way. He said, obviously we don't know everything, and in order to learn more, we need to have humility and learn from other people about what's true. But we may disagree on what that is, particularly on ultimate things like religion. And he said a society that thwarts and stops and quells people who think and have their conscience express things to them through God, however, ultimately is a society that's going to fall apart because it's suppressing precisely what it needs in order to thrive. And so that's kind of the grounding for his saying toleration is a far more rational and reasonable position than any kind of intolerance or unity of religion.
And from, my background, Christian perspective, Jesus, when I see Jesus in the New Testament, he did not force anyone to follow him. He gave people an opportunity. So I think the power of choice is important. And religious liberty, as I said in the last segment, is that it's just so important to me. I think we need to always provide people with the freedom to believe and the freedom to practice their faith, and I do believe that strengthens our society. Do I pray and hope that folks would accept Christ? I do it every day. I try to witness to people, but at the end of the day, we don't punish people or denigrate them for not accepting what I believe.
So I'm reminded of the famous parable of the 3 blind men and the elephant. Right? So 3 blind men come up to an elephant, and the first holds on to the tail, and they say, "What is this thing?" They say, "Well, I don't know. It's kind of a ratty-whippy kind of a thing." Another of the fellas is holding on to the trunk, and they say, "What is this?" "Oh, I don't know. It's like a garden hosey kind of a thing." The other fellow's holding on to one of the legs. It's a very patient elephant. And he says, "What is this?" "I don't know. It's like a tree trunky kind of a thing." And they're all right. But they can all just get a little bit of the truth because the truth is too big for them to grasp in their limited capacity to understand. So what if we said only one of them is right? We miss the whole elephant. And I think the elephant in the room is the idea that we need to have enough humility as individuals to realize that no matter how learned we are, no matter how wise we are, no matter how much we know our own sacred literature, we only get this much. The human eye can only see 10% of all the light in the universe. 90% of what's going on, we have no way to perceive in our limited human capacity. And I think that if we're able to try to cultivate that measure of humility so that we can have programs like this where I realize as a Jew I have so much to learn from those who practice other faith traditions. And for those of you who are watching us today, hopefully you're learning and growing in your own faith as you see the diversity of what religious expression in America looks like. You know, last thing I would say is that, you know, if you look at the seminal moment when God spoke to humanity at Mount Sinai, you had this vast mixed multitude of people all together woven as one. And it was only when the people became one with each other that they were able to be one with a God that we also call one. And so when we want to become one through force, through constriction, through saying there is only one right way to believe and it's mine and you must follow that and only that, that's not unity, that's conformity. And that doesn't create the kind of unity that brings God to be one with us.
Thank you very much. You know, I'm a president of a university, and you just think about of those 3,500 students and how many different perspectives, life views, some are interested in this, some are interested in that. And you just think in that microcosm how many different views and ideas there are. And then I can just imagine saying to them all, okay, well, you're all now going to be nurses. Or you're all now going to be some other, you know, or they're going to be pastors. And they look at you like, but that doesn't work. That doesn't work. So I think if nothing else today, readers, listeners, you recognize that nobody here is about to give up their particular religion. I think that was pretty, pretty strongly expressed. And but
Dan sounds like a Southern Baptist preacher.
But I would like to suggest that this conversation may be a good conversation for you to have. What are the essentials of your faith? The Charter of the American Religious Town Hall provides that Roman Catholics, Protestant, Jews, educators, and others may appear on this program and can declare their beliefs without hesitancy. And the rest of the members of the panel will uphold and guarantee that American right to all who will appear, irrespective of race or creed, so that the rest of the world can see that here in America we believe in civil and religious freedom, not only in theory but in reality. Now, friends, until next week at the same time and over the very same channel, the American Religious Town Hall meeting stands adjourned. And may the God of all of us bless all of you.